Hello, at crmaddons.com we make productivity enhancing add-ons for the Act Contact Manager from Sage. In this video we'll show you a cool new feature in our WebProspect add-on that's called the Freeform Parser. With it, WebProspect will automatically download new leads coming from your website and add them to the Act database, saving you lots of time. After this video, visit crmaddons.com for more information. This diagram illustrates how WebProspect automation works to save you time. A visitor enters their contact information on your website or some lead supplier's website and clicks Submit. They typically are filling out a form. Then an email is sent and arrives at your company's mailbox. Every so often, say once every 10 minutes, WebProspect will download all the leads from that mailbox, parses each lead into its parts, in other words, company, contact, email, phone, etc., and adds all that information to the Act database. Once the leads are in your Act database, then you can continue or start your marketing process with that lead, for example, phoning them or sending them email. What WebProspect is doing here is automating the process of collecting the lead information and putting them in the database so that you don't have to retype any information. In the next part of the video, we're going to show you how you train WebProspect to understand each email. To get started with WebProspect, you go to the Accounts tab and need to specify where WebProspect is going to receive the emails from, and that's normally a pop mailbox. You specify your internet mailbox information here, and a new option in this version is you can select SSL, which is required to receive Gmail. The other thing you need to do is to set up the database connection by specifying your Act database. Now that we've set up WebProspect to receive email from your mailbox and to store the results in your Act database, we'll click on the Main tab. We see that WebProspect is trying to process an email message which contains lead information, and it is indicating that it is unable to identify a lead source and that no existing pattern exists for this message. The way WebProspect works is it associates patterns with the lead source. The lead source could be your website, or it could be a website that sends you leads, like a partner. So what we have to do is create a pattern to recognize this type of email. So we'll click Create New Pattern. The training window comes up. Once we've trained WebProspect to recognize this type of email, we won't have to train it again. The first thing we do as part of training is we have to find something in the email message that identifies who sent the mail so that the pattern can be associated with that lead source. We call that the lead source identifier. So we find that's typically the from email address. So we'll select that and we'll click in lead source identifier box. Any messages now that contain this information will be associated with this pattern, and this pattern and other patterns will be checked to see if it can parse the mail. Now that we've identified the lead source, we have to go through the message here and identify all the fixed and variable parts of the message. Usually the fixed parts are going to be key phrases that are associated with a database item. And associated with each key phrase is a variable part that will go into the database. Our first key phrase here is subject. So we'll click Add Row. And we'll see this information after subject may change from message to message. So we're going to identify that as the variable value part. Now we could stick that information in the Act database, but we're going to just disregard it. So we won't need to go into editing here. Now we select the next lead source identifier, which is name. Click Add Row. And we select the associated information, which is the name of the person. And we see the button is not green or anything here, so that means that this name does not exist in the ACT database. So we click here and we map it to an ACT field by the name of contact. So the information coming in under name is going to be stored in the database in the contact field of the database. Next thing we do is we go to the next key phrase, which is email. Click Add Row, and we select the information that is the variable part of the email address of each message. And we see that both buttons here are green. That indicates that these form fields, name and email, are now correctly mapped to an ACT database field. If we click in here, we see that the product has automatically mapped the e-mail form field to the same named database field. That's a nice feature of this new version that means that you don't have to do as much work. So we'll select the next key phrase, company, click Add Row, select the associated variable information, and we'll click in the value box, and we see again that company happens to exist as a name in the database, so it's been automatically mapped. The important thing about creating a pattern is to identify all the fixed and the variable parts of the message. I've gone ahead and identified the rest of the information that we want to either import or ignore. And now I'm down to the bottom here where there's some boilerplate information that will always be present but which might vary. So we select the fixed part of the boilerplate, which is hello. We'll assume that's always there. And then we'll select the variable part of the boilerplate, and we'll identify that as the variable value, which will always be ignored. And we'll click in the edit button here. We can see the default is to require it but ignore it. So now we've gone through the whole pattern. We've identified all the fixed and variable parts of the message, and we've essentially created a pattern. There's some other features here that you can cause the lead to be automatically added to our sales automation campaign, but I'm going to skip over that and click Done. After training, we're now back at the main window, and we've selected the message, and the message has been parsed. These fields here are the ACT database fields, and this information here is the information that's going to get stored into the ACT database. All I have to do is click Add, and it will be added. Instead, I'm going to show you that we've created a pattern here. If I go to another message that we haven't created a pattern for and cause that to be ignored, and I come back to this first message that we've trained on, we see that instantly WebProspect has been able to recognize it. That's because it has a pattern. We just created that pattern. Some of the other features of WebProspect is to download the messages, and if there's a pattern, they will be recognized immediately and thrown into this window where you can add the contact. You can also add all the messages that are in the incoming messages to the ACT database. So this has been an illustration of our new feature of WebProspect. It makes it a lot easier to use. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Visit crmaddons.com for information on WebProspect and our other products. Thank you.